Meg Griffin has been the family punching bag for over 20 seasons. She's been bullied consistently, emotionally abused, and once got traded for a pack of magic beans. But here's the twist no one wants to admit. Meg might actually be the smartest person in the entire Griffin household. Yes, Stewie builds time machines and Brian quotes Nietzsche every 10 minutes, but if you really look closely, Meg's the only one who shows actual intelligence, emotional maturity, and maybe even basic human decency. Today, we're looking at the moments where Meg wasn't just smarter than her family, but was miles ahead of them. We start off with the episode Our Idiot Brian, where Meg Griffin does something unthinkable in the Griffin household. She tries to better her future. The episode starts with Meg talking into the living room where the rest of the family is glued to the TV. She asks them to turn it down because she's studying for the SAT. Naturally, this is treated like she just announced she's joining a cult.
Could you turn that down? I'm trying to study for the SAT.
Hey, careful, Meg. Remember what happened the last time I had to choose between you and a TV?
You're in high school, sweetie. You should be much more concerned about your weight than your SAT scores.
While Peter and Lois brush her off like background noise, Meg is doing what no one else in that house is doing, and that's thinking about college, putting in effort, and trying to improve her scores. It's a rare sight. Peter's busy watching nonsense, Lois is shaming her about her weight, and Brian, in full motivational poster mode, is giving her one of those you can be anything speeches, even suggesting she could coach the Mighty Ducks. Great advice from the guy whose resume includes licking himself and failing at writing. But Meg keeps pushing forward. Later at school, she vents to her friends that she's freaking out about the SATs. Her scores aren't improving, and she's convinced she'll bomb the whole thing. That's when Patty, the moral compass of exactly no one, suggests she cheat by getting someone smart to take the test for her.
You guys, I'm freaking out. The SATs are this weekend, and there's no way I'm gonna get a good score.
Maybe you should get someone super smart to take it for you.
Meg hesitates, and she knows it's wrong. She even says it's cheating. But this is Family Guy. Morals are optional.
Don't worry, Meg. There's gotta be someone else who'd be willing to take that test for you.
What?
I said, how about your dog? He's smart.
That doesn't sound like what you said, but yeah, Brian is kinda smart.
At this point, Meg says everyone in her family is a moron, which, let's be honest, is just factual reporting. Then one of her friends suggests the dog Brian, the intellectual, the writer, the pipe-smoking, book-quoting, walking ego trip. And Meg, clearly desperate, decides to go with it. Now, here's where things get fun. Meg doesn't just ask Brian, she plays him like a violin in a turtleneck. She pretends to be a fan of his book, she quotes the first line like it's some life-changing masterpiece, she even fakes an acronym for the title like she talks about it every day.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of Fats Pole. Anyway, I was just rereading my favorite passage the other day. How heavy he wondered is the human soul.
Brian falls for it instantly. Blinded by flattery, he agrees to take the SAT for her, convinced that helping Meg is somehow a noble mission. In reality, he's just been ego-baited into academic fraud by a high schooler. Well played, Meg. Well played. Of course, Brian takes the test, and later Meg comes home with the results. She tells Brian, "We got 1,000." Brian celebrates like he just cured polio, until Meg clarifies that 1,000 is horrible. Out of 2,400, that score is barely better than signing your name correctly.
Mail's here. I got my SAT scores.
So, how'd we do?
That's 1,000 out of a possible 2,400. That's the worst score in my class.
The best part? Meg straight up tells Brian that she should have never thought he was smart. And based on the results, she's absolutely right. If Meg had taken the test herself, she probably would have scored higher. At least she was actually studying. Brian, meanwhile, proved that quoting novels and wearing glasses doesn't mean you understand anything. So yes, in this episode, Meg was smarter than most people in the Griffin household, particularly Brian. She saw an opportunity, ran with it, and learned a brutal truth about her talking dog. He's all bark, no brain. The next episode on our list is Meg Stinks. And no, despite the title, Meg is actually the only character in this episode who doesn't stink. We start at a college fair where Meg is exploring actual opportunities for her future. Her principal pulls her parents aside to tell them something unexpected. Not only is Meg doing well in school, she's caught the attention of real colleges. Even better, she's landed an interview with Green Mountain College, her first choice.
Anyway, I was able to get Meg an interview this weekend at Green Mountain College in Vermont.
Oh my god, that's my first choice.
Right away, Meg is enthusiastic and responsible. She's ready to take the next step and even asks one of her parents if they can take her. Meanwhile, her parents step aside to decide who's going to take her. A decision made by getting into a full-on fist fight behind a curtain, and whoever loses takes her. This moment says everything, but Meg is actually trying to make something out of herself despite the dysfunctional family around her. Eventually, Peter agrees to take her to Vermont. The two go on a road trip, and it leads to one of the most emotionally intelligent scenes Meg has ever had. While Peter is zoning out at a restaurant, Meg starts talking. She even brings up Night Moves by Bob Seger, a song Peter loves, and surprises him by saying she was the one who played it.
I wonder who played this.
I did.
You played Night Moves? How would you even know what that song is?
From you. Dad, I've been hearing that song in the backseat of your car since I was a little kid.
She goes on to list all the things she's picked up about her father over the years. His weird phobia of guacamole, his obsession with Augustus Gloop, the fact that he once voted for Mighty Mouse. It's funny, yes, but it's also revealing. Meg has been listening, observing, paying attention to a man who barely does the same for her. In a show where every other family member is usually screaming or doing something insane, Meg brings actual emotional awareness into the room. She's not just smart academically, but she's also perceptive. She sees people clearly even when they don't see her at all. Then she asks Peter a question that cuts deeper than anything we expect in a cartoon.
Dad, sometimes I wonder why you even had a family.
I was dating your mother. I don't like the way condoms feel. Next thing you know, I got a mortgage, a kid, and a crappy job at a toy factory.
Peter's response is honest and vulnerable. He admits he never planned any of it. He just ended up stuck in a life that he never really wanted. And instead of lashing out or taking it personally, Meg responds with quiet understanding. She even sympathizes with him. She realizes that Peter's angry at himself, not her, for not chasing his dream of becoming a podiatrist. This is one of those rare moments where someone in the Griffin house has a mature, real conversation. And guess what? It's Meg who starts it, Meg who carries it, Meg who handles it better than anyone else in her family could. She's planning for college, she's showing empathy, she's making emotional connections, all while Peter's just now realizing his daughter has been in the backseat of his car for the last 17 years. Meg might get ignored by her family most of the time, but in this episode, she proves that she sees them more clearly than they will ever see her. And if we're being honest, that kind of emotional intelligence, that's a whole different level of smart. We go to the episode Meg goes to college, and for once, the Griffin family gets involved in something academic without accidentally setting a building on fire. It starts with Peter hanging out at the Drunken Clam, casually explaining to the guys that Meg wants money for college. Naturally, Peter sees this as a personal attack on his beer budget, but then Jerome tells him that investing in your daughter's education can actually pay off. She might get a good job, buy you a car, maybe even a house. Retirement could be one smart daughter away.
Well, truth be told, Meg wants me to give her a bunch of money so she can go to college.
I helped my daughter through college, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Peter has a rare light bulb moment. He realizes that helping Meg get into college might actually benefit him. Well, there's no doubt that it starts with Peter being selfish again, but it ends with Meg getting a shot at something real. He and Lois go to Principal Shepard, who tells them the cold truth. Meg will need extra help to stand out. Luckily, there's a shady backdoor option. With just one click, they can make Meg look like a varsity athlete, a marathon champion, or someone who outran wild jungle cats in an ancient temple.
Now, Mr. and Mrs. Griffin, every college has spots set aside for athletic recruits. With the click of a button, we can make Meg look like she played varsity lacrosse, won the Quahog Marathon, or had her head rolled down a temple in Apocalypto.
Meg gets accepted into Brown University. Yes, that Brown. And despite the fabricated resume, Meg takes it seriously. She adjusts to college life, tries to stay focused, and begins this new chapter with actual purpose. Meanwhile, Peter decides college sounds fun, so he pretends to be a student and tags along like an overgrown toddler with a student ID. It's not long before Peter becomes a complete nightmare. He interrupts the schedule, embarrasses Meg, and treats the entire campus like it's a personal frat house. Eventually, Meg snaps, and she calls him out right in front of the dean, and tells the truth. Peter does not belong there and never did.
That's it! I can't take this anymore!
Your whole application was fake.
Meg, is this true?
What? No.
Unfortunately, Peter blurts out that Meg only got into Brown because her parents paid someone to fake her achievements. The dean hears this, and Meg is devastated. Her place at school is now in jeopardy, and worst of all, the lie makes it seem like she never belonged there to begin with. Back at home, Meg lays into her parents, and rightfully so. But then Brian chimes in with a plan. He reminds Meg that even though her admission was rigged, she claimed to be good at everything on that application. If she can prove it, she might still be allowed to stay.
I can't believe you two did this to me.
Meg, honey, nobody wanted you out of this house more than we did.
If you show you actually can do those things, you're all in the clear.
And then I can get back to hustling drunk women upstairs with Tobin and Squee.
Now, this is where Meg flips the script. She trains, she prepares, and when the moment comes, she shows up ready to prove she belongs. First up, softball. Meg swings like a pro and nails a massive hit. Then comes diving. She pulls off a textbook perfect dive, scoring all 10s. And gymnastics, she sticks the landing so cleanly that even the judges have to clap. The same Meg who gets ignored at dinner is now out here looking like Simone Biles. But she's not done. For her final performance, Meg decides to sing Love is a Battlefield, but in Russian. Because why not prove your talent and multilingualism in one move? She belts it out like a pro opera singer at a Soviet karaoke bar, and the judges love it.
Hit it!
The dean announces what we already know. Meg Griffin backed up everything on her application. All of it. She proved herself in public, under pressure, without shortcuts, and without her family sabotaging her for once. This episode may have started with Meg getting into college for all the wrong reasons, but it ends with her proving she earned it. She could have given up, blamed her parents, or walked away. Instead, she worked harder than anyone else and backed up her spot with real talent and drive. So yes, Peter wanted to drink instead of invest in his daughter. And yes, Meg had help getting in. But once she was there, she outperformed expectations. She showed discipline, skill, and determination. The three things no one else in that household even pretends to have. And if you're still wondering who the smartest Griffin is, let me just say this. The girl who sang Pat Benatar in Russian while doing backflips is now attending an Ivy League school. Meanwhile, her father still thinks Mighty Mouse is a political candidate. Next up is the episode Not All Dogs Go to Heaven, where Meg somehow pulls off one of the most unexpected power moves in Family Guy history. She outsmarts known atheists into finding God. The episode starts with Meg in bed, sick with the mumps. For 5 straight days, she's isolated with nothing but a Christian TV channel to keep her company. And somehow, that ends up changing her entire outlook. By the time she comes out of her room, she's quoting the Bible and telling her family she's been reborn.
So, you feel better, Meg?
All better, Mom. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
Meg, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about God, Mom. I've been reborn.
While Lois is confused and Peter's worried about refunding something to get her college fund back, Meg is calm and focused. She's found something she believes in, and unlike her usual awkward self, she speaks with conviction. Even when her family doesn't take her seriously, she holds her ground. Not long after, the family's watching TV. Meg walks in and switches the channel again back to the religious program. Everyone complains, Peter's furious, and Lois tells her to chill. But Meg doesn't back down. She's fully committed, and then she turns to Brian. She asks him genuinely if he's open to hearing the word of God. Brian responds that he's an atheist. That sends the family into shock. They had no idea. With the family on his back, Brian's forced to explain why he's an atheist. Because in the Griffin household, despite everyone being a jerk to Meg, is an allegedly very religious household.
I'm sorry, I just don't see any evidence. Untold wonders of a vast, unexplored universe, but not one picture of a guy with a beard sitting around on a cloud.
From here, most people would walk away. But Meg doesn't. She is determined. She comes up with another tactic, one that plays directly into Brian's psychology. She walks up to him outside with a wooden cross in her hand. He says he doesn't want it, so she tosses it like a stick. Brian hesitates, but can't help himself. His dog instincts take over and he runs to retrieve it.
Hey, Brian.
No, I don't want a crucifix. No, please, no.
Go get it, boy.
This isn't just a gag, but Meg thinking very creatively. She knows she won't win the argument intellectually, so she leans into a trick that works. And it works perfectly. But that's not enough either. Brian still doesn't change his mind, so Meg makes another bold move. Somehow, and we never see how, she tips off the local news. That night, there's a report on TV revealing that Brian Griffin is an atheist. The entire town now knows, and it doesn't go well for him.
Good evening, I'm Tom Tucker. Our top story tonight, 5 News has discovered that there is an atheist among us.
Christian soldier Meg Griffin has identified the atheist as Brian Griffin of Spooner Street.
Almost overnight, Brian becomes a social outcast. Stores won't serve him, the bar kicks him out, even the gas station won't sell him cigarettes. But what really gets him, the part that truly breaks him, is that no bar will pour him a drink. That's when Brian finally gives up. He walks into Meg's room and tells her that he's seen the light. He announces, loud and clear, that he now believes in God. He even throws in a hallelujah for good measure. It's obviously fake, but Meg plays along. She nods, smiles, and tells him there's work to do.
Hey, Meg, guess what? I've seen the light. Hallelujah, I believe in God. Lordy, Lordy, I believe.
In the next scene, we see them driving together. Brian's got his wine, Meg's got her satisfaction. She's made her point. And whether Brian truly believes it or not, he now plays by her rules.
Thanks for setting everyone straight, Meg.
It was my pleasure, Brian. We get to do the work of the Lord.
Meg started off as a sick girl watching religious TV. She ended up orchestrating a public image crisis for an atheist dog and psychologically maneuvering him into submission. She used empathy, strategy, peer pressure, and a perfectly timed game of fetch to break one of the most stubborn characters on the show. Was it ethical? Not really. Was it brilliant? Absolutely. Meg proved she could hold her own against Brian, who usually talks circles around everyone. She didn't just beat him in thinking, she beat him in execution. She understood his weaknesses, predicted his breaking point, and played the long game. That takes intelligence, planning, and a level of emotional manipulation that would terrify most therapists. Next on our list is the episode Crisscross. This time, Meg doesn't need a genius plan or heartfelt speech to show how sharp she is. She just needs a moment, and Chris gives her the perfect one. It all starts when Chris wants a new pair of sneakers, but after asking his parents and they refuse, he decides he's going to get them no matter what. So he plans to steal money from Lois's purse, and unfortunately for him, Meg sees the whole thing.
Busted.
Now, most siblings would just snitch, but Meg sees opportunity and she's going to make the most of it. She spots Chris sitting alone, walks over, and instantly flips the power dynamic. She teases him, acts suspicious, and when he finally admits what he did, she goes in for the kill. She threatens to tell Lois and Peter unless Chris agrees to do whatever she says. And she doesn't bluff. She even starts to shout for their mom just to push him over the edge.
Well. Listen, I saw you steal money from Mom's purse. How about I won't tell Mom and Dad about the money if you promise to do whatever I say.
Chris caves immediately, and just like that, Meg has her own personal servant. And from this point forward, she makes the most of it. She hands him a list not of small chores, but of the most outrageous, uncomfortable errands you could imagine. Chris, in full guilt mode, does them all. He stands outside Planned Parenthood for 36 hours, he photographs everyone from Meg's class who walks in, he probably lost 3 toes to dehydration, and what does Meg do with that info? She tells Chris to call those girls and pretend to be their dead baby. Is that horrible? Yes. Smart? Absolutely. She knows how to control the situation.
I stood outside Planned Parenthood for 36 hours, and here are the pictures of every girl in your class who went in.
Now I want you to call them as if you're their dead baby.
This is where you really see the difference in their intelligence. Chris might be stronger, taller, and maybe even a little sweeter, but Meg knows how to manipulate. She uses the one piece of power she has and milks it for everything it's worth. She even sends him to collect packages from a mysterious P.O. box downtown, one that involves correspondence from the Netherlands, whatever that means. When Chris finally stands up to her and says no, it's only because he reaches his absolute breaking point. Meg still holds the upper hand and reminds him that she owns him, and she's not wrong. She's played the guilt card, the threat card, and the silent blackmail card flawlessly.
Well, you should have thought of that before you stole money out of Mom's purse. I own you. I need you to go downtown and get the stuff from my P.O. box.
What makes Meg smart in this episode is how quickly she reads the moment and flips it. She's not just bossy, but well calculated. She recognizes leverage when she sees it, and she doesn't waste a second using it to her advantage. Chris was dumb enough to steal, and Meg was smart enough to turn that into a full-blown contract of servitude. It may not be the most heroic win, but it proves Meg can outthink her brother any day of the week. We now go to the episode Peter's Lost Youth. Meg Griffin has spent most of her life being ignored, dismissed, or humiliated by her family. But in this episode, Meg is handed actual responsibility. She's put in charge of the household while her parents are away. It all begins when Peter wins a trip to the Boston Red Sox fantasy baseball camp. Of course, he decides to bring Lois along, turning it into a little getaway. While they're packing up, Meg asks her mom if she's really planning on going to Boston, since Lois doesn't even like baseball. Lois is honest, she's not going for baseball, she's going for shopping, spa treatments, and most importantly, 2 whole days away from her life-sucking turds. Ouch. Then comes the bombshell. While they're away, Brian will be in charge.
I'm going for shopping, the hotel spa, and 2 days of being away from you life-sucking turds.
Now, Meg is stunned. She's in high school, she's capable, and yet somehow, once again, the family dog gets more authority than she does. She objects, and surprisingly, Lois reconsiders. With barely a shrug, she lets Meg be in charge.
Oh, come on, Mom, really?
Believe me, Meg, you want me in charge.
All right, fine. Meg, while we're away, you can be in charge.
And just like that, Meg gets the opportunity she never thought would come. The moment the parents leave, Meg starts laying down the law. She stands confidently in the driveway and tells her siblings that there will be structure, rules, schedules, maybe even a few chores. She's not being unreasonable and just wants a peaceful, well-organized house. She's genuinely trying to lead. But if you know Stewie, then you already know that was never going to be easy. In the middle of her speech, he turns a water hydrant on her and soaks her completely.
But there will be a schedule, just to keep everything running smoothly.
Gotta have boundaries. By the way...
Now, that's just blatant disrespect to Meg. Later, she walks into Stewie's room and tries again, this time to get him dressed and out the door. But he's not having it. He mocks her, threatens to smear poop on the wall, and makes it very clear that he plans to be as difficult as possible. Meg, however, holds her ground. She scolds him and puts him in timeout.
Stewie, don't do that! You just earned a timeout. Don't you walk away. Now sit here until I say you can get up.
For once in the show, someone's disciplining Stewie like an actual parent. And it's not Lois or Peter, it's Meg. Even Stewie's caught off guard. He tries to wiggle out of it, but Meg makes it clear that she takes abuse from everyone else in the house, but she refuses to take it from him. It's one of the strongest, most self-assured moments we've seen from Meg. Now, things do take a turn because a few hours later, Meg's hanging out in her room when Brian walks in and asks about a grilled cheese sandwich. That's when it hits her that she left Stewie in timeout 6 hours ago. She runs to the chair, but Stewie's gone, and the panic sets in.
Hey, Meg, is anybody gonna eat this grilled cheese?
Oh my God, Stewie! Oh no, where is he? He's gone!
And that's where we see another layer of Meg's intelligence. She doesn't start making excuses, she instantly admits her mistake and begins searching the house. She involves Brian, and she freaks out, and for good reason because Stewie is nowhere to be found. As they search the neighborhood, Meg gets more and more anxious. She's not just worried about her parents finding out, she's genuinely afraid that something bad's happened to her little brother. It's easy to forget, under all the sarcasm and sibling drama, that Meg actually cares deeply about her family, even the ones who make her life miserable. Then, the phone rings. It's Lois calling from Boston. Meg picks up and tries to play it cool. Lois asks how things are going and how Stewie's doing, but Meg, thinking quickly, lies, but in the smartest way possible. She doesn't panic or stutter. She immediately invents a believable story about performing a puppet show for Stewie, just to buy some time and keep suspicion off her back.
I want all you guys to drive up to Boston this afternoon to see your father play in the big game.
Mom, but we promised Stewie we'd perform a puppet show for him later today.
As the call ends, Meg now has even more pressure. Not only does she need to find Stewie, but she also needs to come up with a whole puppet show before they drive to Boston. She's juggling multiple problems under stress, thinking on her feet the entire time. And then later, completely out of nowhere, Stewie walks into the room. He's safe, a little angry, but safe.
What did I just say? Shut up!
Hey, what's this, a dickweed convention?
Thank God you're home!
Meg's relieved to see him, but Stewie is still upset. He calls her scary and says he doesn't want her in charge ever again. But Meg doesn't snap back. She doesn't get defensive. Instead, she kneels down, looks him in the eye, and says sorry. A real, sincere apology. She tells him she loves him, that he's her little brother, and she never meant to hurt him. And guess what? Stewie forgives her.
Are you afraid of me, little guy? I love you very much, and I'm so happy you're home.
All right.
Even Stewie knows that Meg actually stepped up. She took responsibility, ran the house the best she could, and when things went wrong, she handled it like an adult. Throughout the entire episode, Meg was smarter, more mature, and more emotionally grounded than anyone else around her. Brian was doing his usual shenanigans, Chris was busy doing nothing, and Stewie was being a terror. Meg showed that she could lead even when nobody believed in her. She was smarter and more disciplined than anyone else in the house. And maybe that's why Lois should consider putting her in charge more often, because Meg is actually smart and cares. Meg Griffin might be the neglected child, but she just might be the smartest person in the Griffin household. She's gone to college, taken on real responsibilities, shown emotional maturity, and stood her ground when no one believed in her. While the others spiral in chaos, Meg is often the one holding it together, not with loud antics, but with quiet intelligence that everyone else is too distracted to notice.